It was scary at first, she said. The way he moved, the way the doll's skin covered him. I wanted to interject. This seemed somehow inappropriate, but I kept listening. When I look at him, she continued, when I think about him, he grows and moves. It's like he's growing for me. So he's growing bigger now, I asked. Yes, she said. Bigger every day. Oh my god. Now that is horrific. This begins the actual growing part of growing your grandpa. Beneath the doll's burlap skin, the follicles knit together what resembles a proper person. Your grandpa. You were in charge of its cognitive development and diet until it was able to sustain itself. Currently, you are observing Grandpa. Please click the arrow back button below for a brief tutorial of your duties as caretaker. Zero out of 2 acceptable foods eaten. Seek out things to feed Grandpa. Teach Grandpa. Here we can see a variety of options regarding growing your grandpa. Highlighted in red are objectives related to feeding and teaching Grandpa. Important messages regarding Grandpa's recent activity will also appear here. You will need to find food and learning material before you can move on to the next week. Some foods will make Grandpa happy, others merely content. Some food will make Grandpa disgusted to the point of nausea. Learning material is also scattered through the basement. Seek out vocabulary cards intended to help teach English and basic anthropomorphic concept information. The options highlighted in red are related to navigating around Grandpa's enclosure. God, this is like super in-depth. There's a lot to this. The Go to Grandpa option will let you perform all actions directly related to Grandpa. Feeding, teaching, observing, etc. Accessing the study corner will let you go over any documents you pick up as the weeks go by. It's a good idea to learn about the work of the people who last occupied this space. Accessing the kitchen corner will let you search for food in the old refrigerator and prepare food for Grandpa if need be. The help button will replay this tutorial. The save game button will save your current progress. You can only have one save file at a time, so if you have to save data, you will be asked if it is okay to overwrite it. The exit game button will take you back to the main menu. More buttons may or may not appear depending on your development of Grandpa, so watch out for them. One final note, take care to explore the basement at your leisure. However, due to the entropic nature of clutter and trash, different weeks may allow you to find things you had not previously discovered. Good luck! Okay, I gotta feed Grandpa, and I gotta teach Grandpa. Examine trash pile. Okay. Let me clear out this trash. I'll look at that in a second. I want to get rid of all the trash first. That looked like an eye for a second. That, like, startled me. More trash? Okay. Corroded battery. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Yeah, but why would I feed it to Grandpa? That seems like a bad idea to feed a battery to Grandpa. Linguistics module. Hello. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Well, I found some educational material for Grandpa. Something appears to be growing from the wall. You take a closer look. A pulsating sac, the slimy membrane that is its skin, seems to contain something. It might be able to be opened with a blade. Okay, so I gotta find a knife. The darkness of the shadowy corner unnerves you. You cannot explore here without some form of light. Cabinet. Examine. Slouching under the weight of rotten refuse. Cabinet. Okay, let's clear this shit away. Because there's probably, like, important stuff in here. I may not play the whole game this stream. It honestly depends on whether or not I'm, like, bored at any point. Just because I do find it... The space will not be dirty again until next week! Good to know! That's not something I can grab, so... Blueberries. It looks edible. Grandpa might like this. Food! Nice! Let's see. Top drawer. Oh, so this is just like a very dirty cabinet. Okay. Whoa! No! Don't do that to me. There's a face there. There are more faces. Why are there faces? Okay. An account of an acquisition. No, I'm gonna read it now. Before we began, he had us all cover our faces completely. An earthenware pot was illegible, and on the inside, as we stole brief glances at it, we could see the interior was inlaid with mirrors. The unintelligible gave it small pieces of dough, spoiled food, chicken feed, keeping it content. The keeper gestured towards the small bag where the food composted and told us to be careful not to feed it any meat. I asked if the rotting food was enough to sustain it, how it might get nutrients from any of this. The keeper regarded me seriously and said it did not matter what it was fed, the act of feeding it itself was what mattered. The act of feeding flesh is another act, however. He then gave me another series of grave warnings regarding not keeping any animal-derived foods near where I might be keeping it. Alright. Bottom drawer. Okay, I'd need a key for that. Let's look in this trash pile. Examine. Something about that painting looks strange. Search painting. Oh! A folder full of radiographic images. I didn't mean to continue. I'll have to go look at the study corner after this. Just for, like, anything that I've missed. Let's search the trash pile. More trash! Oh, I'm so good at cleaning. I love games where the game mechanic is clean this area and find stuff. That's food, I think. That's food for Grandpa. All clean. This space will not be dirty again until next week. Fiberglass insulation. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Okay. Let's look in the other trash pile. Examine. The waste here smells particularly strong. Search trash pile. What is this garbage? Oh, look, a paper doll. Okay. A simple paper doll. This might be useful in the construction of magic symbols. But why would I want to do that? Can you tell me? Go to study corner. Examine educational posters. Medical imaging device. You slip the radiographic images you found onto the machine's display. Oh. Propagation, day 21. Okay. Notes in detail. That's horrific. Okay, let's do this. Notes in detail. We have taken to calling it whiskers, though of course some have interpreted it as hair or needles or quills, but whiskers is more accurate, as needles are really more like suprasensory follicles or spines. The nerve nets distributed throughout the morphology of these spines resemble those of genus Hydra, but have myelin sheaths that are functionally the same as vertebrae. As we can see in the X-ray, each spine is laden with a dense optical arrangement similar to compound eyes. The Hydra connection is assuredly worth investigating with regard to the organism's capacity for regeneration and anecdotal deathlessness. It certain is a robust enough creature to inspire marvel that is not untinged with fear. Okay. Propagation number 14, day 14th, after dormancy, anthropoid vacuum broken, no term at 16 days. Exposure to mammalian forms as part of a series of zoomorphic influences led to further understanding of the propagation's abilities to simulate the somatic stem cells that constitute fully developed animals. I write simulate in the previous statement because examining the tissue of each propagation leads me to believe that its amazing capacity for accelerated growth of vastly different forms comes from cell-level mutability. And yet, at no time does it function as the thing it becomes, except in the sense that it mimics it. That is to say, when Whiskers is removed from dormancy and replicates a rabbit's morphology, it is not seeing from the rabbit's eyes, nor smelling from the rabbit's nose, but pretending that it does and doing a very good job of it. How do you know that? How do you know it's not seeing from the rabbit's eyes? Or smelling from the rabbit's nose? How do you know that? Okay. Propagation number 5, day 10 after dormancy, anthropoid vacuum broken. No term. At 12 days. Notes in detail. This radiograph was taken at or around growth cycle 4. The strange thing about it was that the subject of this image was found nowhere in the enclosure. It's almost like a piece of Whiskers fell off and scurried into the corner. I feel like we've learned a lot since then, but at the time I remember speaking about the morphology being weird, not really even resembling any extant zoomorphic structure besides maybe a cuttlefish. Then I happened to open the thing up. Inside were all these little dead amoeba-like things, but they sort of looked like they had faces. Faces that were just barely there. After I looked at the radiograph, I gathered it up and went to go through it in the biohazard bin. I am struggling to talk so much. There are so many words. As I walked by the bars of the enclosure, I could hear Whiskers suddenly going wild, flopping around and grunting excitedly. Could it have smelled the cuttlefish thing? Would it eat its own production? I guess it's technically flesh. This is beyond the scope of the project, but it could be that without the stimulus of an active brain, or more specifically a healthy and active brain capable of face recognition and theory of mind, Whiskers begins to pull whatever it can from the limited data available to it.